So the real question that I have going into this year is how many of us humans are left? That's my energy in this year. How many humans are actually left? Because I think the war is already happening. And also, what's going to happen now? What's in the forecast for humanity in 2026? Because we've clearly woken up to the fact that everything is fake and gay. And we are therefore now reaching an inflection point. The people that rule over us, they tried it the nice way, I guess. They increased the pageantry. They used even more pyrotechnics and fireworks, and it seems like we're not biting. We are still talking about Brigitte Macron being born a dude. We're also still talking about the Epstein files. I'm sorry. So what's the next step? What's going to happen? Are they going to just get crazier? Yeah, I think the answers last year taught us yes. They want to start rewriting laws. They want to bankrupt people for knowing the truth. A real headline today, by the way, Brigitte Macron, who was quite literally born a male and who quite literally committed statutory rape under the then French law against a 14-year-old student, has successfully secured a conviction against 11 people in France for cyberbullying. And the media is now, of course, trotting that out, pretending that that's proof that she's a woman. No, it is proof that France has now created laws and are willing to try people for telling the truth if the person who is lying feels bullied. That's what that means, just so we're clear. So if Rachel Dolezal is, as she is, actually born Caucasian and she's presenting as black, and you go online and you say, hey, you're actually a white girl, she can sue you if she feels cyberbullied. That's what's happening in Paris, and I think that's kind of an understanding of what they're trying to make happen here in America. The deep state is insisting on passing speech laws, and they're going to attempt to bankrupt me for knowing the truth about Brigitte. Now, this is a longer clip, and it is so worth listening to because it's brilliant. I honestly think this is dark comedic brilliance from Tim Dillon. Again, perfectly explaining this exact moment in time that we are all in. So to tee this up correctly, essentially, Tim is discussing how our modern world and culture, we are all starting to realize, was created by powerful people who are into kids, like Jeffrey Epstein. And yet, the media just wants us to move on and keep going. So take a listen to what he says here. He's just kind of recapping the moment that we are in right now.
This was our culture. For a very long time, it was domination, evil, exploitation, bad, not good. But it was our culture. It was our culture, you know? And, you know, we're coming to terms with that. We're coming to terms with that. And it's going to take, it's a little bit of a pill to swallow, is it not? It's a little bit of a pill to swallow, huh? It's a little bit of a pill. It's a little bit of a pill. You ever get sick as a kid and your mom's like, you got to take this one. And you're like, ugh. She's like, this one is everyone that rules over you is a satanic pedophile. You're like, oh, no, not this one. It's a little bit of a pill to swallow, but that's where a lot of this comes from. This is the runoff. What you're seeing now is the runoff of people living to pretend that that isn't true. It is the denial of that culture that has produced this culture. Listen up, I'll say it again. I'll say it again. I should be paid more for this, frankly. I'll say it again. It is the denial of that culture that has manufactured this culture of nothingness. It is the unwillingness to look that in the face that has produced slop. That's what it is. It is the discomfort that comes from facing the fact that your greatest fears are true. And you're unable to process that, so you dive into the Eras Tour. You backstroke through the restaurant that serves the thing from the app that you saw. You try to vacation in the right place to take the edge off. You know, it is the denial of truth that has delivered you here into nothingness, into emptiness, into a place where, do you want to see the amenities? The building is really nice, but you've got to see the amenities. The amenities are really over the top. The HOA is really high, but you have to see it because the amenities are so worth it. The amenities are amazing. There's this amazing room. You can use it if you have a party, like 12 to 15 people. You want to do a dinner. You can bring in a private chef. You can bring in a private chef. It's so amazing. They'll set right up and they'll do a dinner. You can actually bring in servers and a bartender. I've done it before. It's amazing. It actually connects to a terrace. What's great about it is it's actually for everyone in the building to use. You can reserve it, but it's very easy. You just do it on the app. Is the world run by satanic pedophiles? There's also a rooftop garden. It's amazing. I go up there. I have coffee all the time. You can go. So you get a special key when you come here, and it'll only go to your floor. So you don't have to worry about any of the security. And at the top of the building, there's a rooftop garden, and you can sit there, and you can even do yoga because it's actually super private. There's like alcoves. Right. So let me ask you, do you think that our civilization is run by like evil pedophiles that are murdering and torturing children? And next year, the restaurant opens. So, like, I don't even want to talk about the restaurant because it's literally so amazing and you can't have it right now. But within 5 months, we have a celebrity chef who's opening a restaurant. It's like Mediterranean, but it's also kind of like more on the Italian side. It's like super perfect. It's like amazing. It's great for like light bites in the morning. And then you can like even grab like coffee and breakfast. And then there's like a lunch. And then there's like a dinner. And even I've heard this. I've actually heard this. I can't confirm, but I've heard, can't confirm, but I've heard that they can actually cater your party in the private amenity space. Like the restaurant can cater your party in the amenity space. Wow. That sounds really good. Why do you think that woman got shot in the face in Oklahoma? Well, anyway, if you want it, just speak to your realtor because it's going to go really, really fast. We already have so many people coming back to see it for second and third showing. Cool. And I just heard that around the block, that like super exclusive restaurant that nobody can get into, Tate McRae was there last night. Wow. Well, thank you for this info. You've given me a lot to think about. And it is the denial of that culture that has produced this one.
I just had to play that in its entirety because it's brilliant. It spoke to my soul when I heard it. That's how I felt last year. I'm like, hey, guys, like, a lot going on right now. And it feels like they're just giving us more stuff, more materialism, more trash music, glittery suits, pyrotechnics. Don't understand that we are perhaps being run by society's being run by incredibly evil people. And it's been happening for a very long time. And I don't really care about the new iPhone that's dropping. I don't care if you got into Mar-a-Lago last night. There's something more important that's happening here. And the droids keep droiding, right? They're fighting us and they're just kind of telling us that we have to accept this culture, and we're saying no. So I guess in summary, the battle lines have very clearly been drawn this year. You now have to decide what side you're going to take. Are you with the Sentinels? Are you with the human beings? I've decided very clearly, but I'm with the people, and I'm done holding them back because all of this is effing weird. So we obviously have to discuss Fort Huachuca. Before we get there, about an hour before we went live, a bunch of people were messaging me saying that the Daily Wire had brought back my old YouTube channel. They had seemingly deleted it. Apparently, they just privatized it, and they brought it back. And as you could see, they premiered an old trailer from when I was joining the Daily Wire. And this wasn't a mistake. This was not a mistake because they put a card in the front that said this was shot in 2021. So what are they doing? They also did the same thing on Instagram. My old Instagram channel, they re-released my trailer from when I was first joining them. So clearly they're trying to get attention for something. And I can tell you what that something is. I love scooping people when they're just being weird. First, I should say, I did have a little bit of sympathy over this break. I would like to apologize to the midget horse. The midget horse never deserved the FU. There's nothing wrong with being a midget horse. And yeah, I was a little fired up and I attacked a small horse that probably did nothing wrong, if I'm being honest. Now, more broadly speaking, the reason I had sort of snapped at the end of last year is that it has been a very long road, as I showed you an example of me just trying to be fired like a normal person. Just so you guys know, in a normal world, your employer, if they fire you, that should be the last you hear of them. You should not then have them follow you to events, calling people to try to get you canceled from speaking events, putting pressure on people, lawsuits. That's actually toxic. And when I said to people that it was getting to a point where I felt like I was being stalked by them, I said this like privately. I said, I genuinely feel like when you break up with someone and you have a crazy ex, that was how it felt like being fired from the Daily Wire. Except in this circumstance, the ex broke up with you, but then I guess like maybe changed their mind or just didn't want to see you move on and be happy or successful. There was an element of this that felt, and I truly am not trying to be dramatic here, it felt like a crazy ex-stalker. Like, if I can't have you, nobody can have you, you know? And so to connect this point, to build this corollary for you guys, that was how I felt. That was what I was expressing to you at the end of last year, that I was done with it. Right? I was like, I'm leaving Daily Wire in 2025, come hell or high water. Well, they want hell or high water because it turns out the reason they're doing this and doing it on my channel is because they are trying to hard launch a young woman named Madison Bransford. Okay. Now she's apparently an intern at the Daily Wire, and they're basically dropping like an iCarly type Nickelodeon feel show where she's going to make fun of me. And the show is entitled In the No-No because apparently they watch every second of my show, which they've been doing for a very long time. They used to send clips and have people make fun of me when I was first getting started. And so now, because they still can't let me go, and since Ben is now on stage bringing me up and saying, we don't know, but we know, like it's giving crazy ex-stalker. They're now launching a show with this girl. I'm sure she's a lovely human being. It's basically like they tried to find someone that's similar to Brett, but it's not at all because it's not mature. And she's just going to make fun of this show. So that's what the Daily Wire has in store. I'm sorry to have scooped you on this new brilliant idea to hard launch something on my socials of somebody making fun of me. I'm sure you thought that was going to get some like huge applaud. It's weird. It makes me uncomfortable, if I'm being frank. I'd like you guys to move on. I understand now you're never going to stop. This is just what we are. You're forever going to obsess about everything that I'm doing. I think it's a bad idea. I would kill it if I were you guys, but I see that you've already made a significant investment. And I hope it works out. I hope a person dedicated to making fun of me in the know, I hope it works out for young Maddie. Anyways, we now need to turn our attention back now that we've recapped how I'm feeling about the new year. We obviously have to discuss Fort Huachuca because it seems to have driven people insane. Okay? Insane. People are losing their minds ever since we mentioned Fort Huachuca, which signals to everybody that Mitch is telling the truth. Okay? Now, I should tell you that if Charlie were alive today, they'd be calling him demonic. They'd be calling him possessed. They'd be saying that he was crazy for not trusting the government because he was honest. He had an honest perspective about psychological operations. He noticed them. He knew the government was behind these psychological operations, just like the one they have put in place since Charlie was assassinated. Here is what Charlie had to say back in October of 2024 regarding the CIA and MK Ultra. He is speaking with Justice Smith. Take a listen.
Do you think the MK Ultra project ever actually ended, or just went?
No,
under
we
a
have.
new
I
name?
mean, we have no evidence that it ended. And I mean, also we have Operation Mockingbird too, which was another CIA program, which was that they were going to take over all the news networks and have symmetry in their broadcast communications. No, the Central Intelligence Agency is actively involved in mind manipulation of people here domestically, and that is completely against the CIA charter. We must understand, we have Congress, and they're just kind of like a peanut gallery. And then we have a super government that exists above Congress of the Department of Defense, which is the Pentagon, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is its own thing out in Langley, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They run the country. The intel agencies run the country.
I agree.
People don't run the country. The executive branch doesn't run the country. This is why they hate Trump, because Trump was the first candidate since JFK to actually want to declare war on the intel agencies and bring the power back to the sovereign. And both him and Kennedy got shot.
Yes, well, I am just in many ways, I think it would just pain Charlie to see everything that's happened since he passed. I think it would just pain him to see what Trump has become. He's become a deep state, obviously, and never have I ever seen a more aggressive psychological operation, or a more obvious operation, for that matter, than everything that the intel agencies have been trying to impart upon the public since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Until, I should say, and relatedly, I saw what happened after we brought up Mitch Snow. Okay, so let's recap what happened in case you forgot. I mentioned Fort Huachuca on my show, and apparently the world exploded and imploded at the exact same time. The story was pretty simple. I was contacted by someone claiming that he was very certain that he saw two people at Fort Huachuca in the days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination, okay? He contacted me specifically about Brian Harpole and Erica Kirk. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to have him on the show because he saw, to be clear, Erica Kirk on the 8th leaving the Candlewood Inn Hotel on the base on Fort Huachuca. She was with somebody who looked similar to Cabot Phillips. We're going to discuss him tomorrow. And then they were just leaving the hotel. Then he says he sees that Cabot Phillips looking special force type person the next day with Brian Harpole. And he's basically 100% certain he saw Brian Harpole at this top brass meeting that took place on the morning of the 9th, a meeting which was concluding on the morning of the 9th around 7:30 a.m. He sent me all of the receipts to back this up, okay? Again, wasn't sure if I was going to have him on the show, felt weird about asking him not to tell us the part about Erica Kirk because I was more interested, obviously, in the meeting because of the manner that he described it. Like, this is a final meeting before an operation. Well, what would Brian Harpole be doing there? What sort of an operation are we talking about? Now, we couldn't jump to conclusions at that point because maybe Brian Harpole was going to say, oh, yeah, I was there. I was there because I was picking up something from my brother. Maybe Erica was going to come out and say, yeah, I was at Fort Huachuca base because my mother has DOD contracts and I'm very familiar with this base and I was going to see a friend. We didn't know what to make of anything other than he said that he saw these two people on different days. Again, to be super clear, he did not see Erica at the meeting on the morning of the 9th. He saw her the night before, allegedly, obviously. That was the allegation. What happened after we allowed Mitch onto the show to share his story was, it was just madness. It was kooky. What happens next is Alex Jones, of all people, the guy who brought us the gay frogs, and a couple of YouTubers that nobody had heard of, began a very aggressive effort to go after Mitch, right? To say, nope, this guy is illegitimate. We shouldn't listen to a single word that he says. Quite literally, Alex Jones went onto his show and declared war on me. I've never said a bad word about Alex Jones ever. In fact, only good words. I've spoken about Alex Jones. I said he's always been good to me. I've played clips of him. I said he's very funny. And he's going to act like I've attacked him, never spoke to him about Mitch Snow, nothing. Listen to Alex Jones quite literally declare war on me. And this is over Mitch Snow. Take a listen.
I remember saying to them, like I said, I got to investigate her now. I got a bad feeling. I didn't have a bad feeling. God gave me a good brain. I already knew. I dropped the ball. I apologize. She's a globalist agent. I dropped the ball and I failed you and I'm sorry. I got to follow my gut every time. It's never wrong. And I saw so much more she did. And I love her people threatening me and all their doxing of people and all that. You think that's going to make me go away? All you did was wake me up like a nuclear test site waking up Godzilla. So just get your asses ready because you want a war. I want your war. I want it all. I want the doxing. I want the lies. I want the attacks. I'm going to take you on because you work for the deep state and the Democratic Party and the CIA and MI6, and I see your ass. So you just get ready.
Okay, points for entertaining. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know. Good luck. I hope you do it. I hope you go after whoever it is. If the attacks are in the room with you right now, Alex, let us know. Okay. I literally have no idea what he's speaking about. I was off air and Alex Jones was just burying himself, getting fact checked. People are attacking him because he's lying about what I've said. He's pretending it's personal. Like he and I had a conversation, or like I went after him on the show. I don't know what that is. But then I would eventually find out exactly what it is. First, the efforts from Alex Jones and these YouTubers. First, they played like they were friends with him. So you had this Paramount Tactical account and Valhalla who called up Mitch and pretended to be a brother, like a brother in arms. Yeah, brother. Yeah, we're trying to help you. We think, kid could be potentially funded. This is, Paramount Tactical, potentially working with foreign agents, and like, you're one of us. At the exact same time, they had Ian Carroll calling me, and Ian Carroll was being a friend, and he's like, hey, you should get on the phone with them and you should come out against Mitch because Mitch is a fraud and Mitch was never in the military and it's going to be really bad for you. Like, you need to make a statement against Mitch. So just to make that clear, they're trying to pressure Mitch to say something against me and trying to pressure me to say something against Mitch, to believe that Mitch was a fraud and to have Mitch believe that I was a fraud. That struck me as odd. I did not take the bait. Then after, through a third party, effectively threatening me and saying that lawsuits were going to be coming if I did not go back on my word of allowing, Mitch to be on my platform and share his story, that there were huge lawsuits coming. And I explained to Ian Carroll, I was like, Ian, this is not how lawsuits work. They didn't send me a cease and desist. What have I done wrong here? Then they said that he was never, that it was like stolen valor. He was never in the military. And then they had to admit that, no, actually, Mitch was in the military, but they were ashamed because he was a really bad dude who abused women in the past. And then they brought out the said women onto their platform. Like, suddenly we are being brought into Jerry Springer and they had to absolve his past. Everyone's like, what does this have to do with Fort Huachuca? Can Suge Knight see Brian Harple at a military base? Like, do I care about Suge Knight's history? What does this have to do with anything? This is just illogical. So when the public didn't bite on that, they then said that it probably wasn't even true that he was at Fort Huachuca because he was a pathological liar and they could prove if this was a bad dude and a pathological liar. So I then dropped the military police reports, the actual incident report from what happened on the base on that day, which proves that Mitch told the truth. So then they pivoted. And they said the police report was fake. There were some points of it looked fake because it had typos. And this didn't look like a real driver's license number for driver's license for Washington State. And apparently police officers never make typos, right? Everyone knows these are like English students. These are authors. How could a police officer typo in a police report? Goalpost was moved again and again. And finally, they decided I'm not kidding here. They decided that as proof of how terrible of a human being that Mitch was, which again, I still can't compute what this has to do with whether or not he was at Fort Huachuca, but as proof, they were teasing this and Alex Jones was teasing this. They were going to bring his son on, his son, who he has not spoken to since his son was 2 years old and who is now an adult man. They were going to bring his son onto the show to speak about Mitch. And accidentally and quite hilariously, the son confirms that the incident at Fort Huachuca actually happened. Okay. Take a listen to that moment because it's perfection. It's hilarious.
You're a veteran, and I don't know. Have you watched his claims on Candace Owens? Do you know what he's talking about?
I watched some of them very briefly. I can only stomach so much of that bullshit. They're not going to let him go into anywhere ops center or anything like that.
Yeah.
On any post. Not Huachuca, not Carson, not nowhere, not in the States, not abroad. They're going to make him go through the same center that everybody goes through to get his ID, get it renewed if he doesn't have it to that point. They're going to let him go to the commissary. They're going to let him go to the PX, maybe some of the other amenities on the post, but he doesn't have a secret security clearance.
Or if he does walk into the Joint Task Force staff duty, he might end up detained and outside getting the canines called on him as per this report, which again, I don't even know if this report is real or not, There's so much craziness going on with this report.
I
It's
mean,
not a license plate number.
they called me on September 9th, asking me if I knew anything about a Mitch Snow, and telling me that I was listed as his number one emergency contact. And I just remember sitting there for like a minute, like, I don't know Mitch Snow. I don't know why I'd be on somebody's emergency contact list.
Oops. Not what they had planned. So yeah, Fort Huachuca, everything he told us happened that morning on the 9th happened. And they also called his son because they probably looked up at his son, was his son. And yeah, oopsies. So then they pivoted again to hosting a stream to rather gloriously and definitively declare that Erica had an airtight alibi on the 8th, or at least they were confused about dates and didn't realize that we were speaking about the 8th. And this is when things went very sideways and revealed that Andrew Colvett was actually the hand behind the scenes communicating with these people, these obscure people who were obsessed with Mitch's past. Paramount Tactical is live, and he accidentally reads his instructions from Andrew Colvett, but couldn't read fast enough to the part where Andrew Colvett says, please don't show this. Take a listen.
I asked him, hey, do you have proof of this? He says, but it's worth saying Erica wasn't in some fort in Tucson. The internet's gone insane. She woke up next to Charlie on the 9th, went to the office with Charlie all day, woke him up from a nap before a fox hit, went to dinner with Charlie. Literally, people are lunatics. And then the next one, proof, she was with her kids at 8:33 a.m. Pacific time, which again, in September, Arizona's on Pacific time. Taking them for a walk. Apparently I wasn't supposed to share that. But anyways, point being is that's 8:33 a.m. It shows the date on that. Sorry, Andrew. I screwed that up, man. I was trying to run a podcast and do everything else.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You should be sorry. I'm sorry for Andrew too, because that's what pissed me off. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. That was upsetting to me because we had all suspected that Turning Point was behind this. We had suspected that they were the ones, and I can confirm to you because also Alex said that he was in communication with Turning Point USA. The spokesperson is Andrew, obviously, and I confirmed that Andrew had been communicating with Alex Jones directly. But why that upset me was because they were willing to drag me through the mud to try to have me, I would say, threatened by these YouTubers, this very guy that then goes, oh, Andrew Colvett. And yet they wouldn't just communicate that directly to me. Like we were very open to him just having the wrong memory, being where he was, but maybe having the wrong memory and not having seen Erica or seeing Brian Harpole. So what is this actually about, right? What is this actually about? And what was upsetting to me, especially first and foremost, because this makes no sense. Nobody accused Erica of being anywhere on the 9th, but yet we see her finger in there. We see that she is showing that she's with her kids on the morning of the 9th. And that, to me, ran counter to my meeting with Erica. I was left under the impression after my meeting with Erica that Andrew Colvett had gone rogue, right? A lot of the things that I was saying and Turning Point was saying the opposite thing, and I felt like they were trying to make me look like a liar, right? The Charlie Kirk Catholic thing, me speaking about the threats that Charlie received a day before he died, and then Turning Point would come out and issue a statement. Their excuse was like, okay, no, you were telling the truth, but Andrew Colvett went rogue. And to be honest, I wasn't exactly sure what to believe when I left the meeting. Obviously, I wanted to take time to digest those things, but I'm very clear that that's what I was told, right? They copped to the fact that, yeah, Andrew Colvett did receive that text from Charlie the night before, and Charlie was worried that he was going to be killed. But, Erica didn't know this information, and she was looking in his iMessages. Okay, so Andrew went so rogue that he didn't even communicate after Charlie was assassinated to the team that Charlie was afraid he was going to die. Also, he was rogue, apparently, on the Superman text as well. Like, he was the one who issued that tweet and quoted the surgeon. I then told you that the surgeon never said that. That was not a quote from the surgeon. What I didn't tell you was that according to my source, which I trust very much, the person that was on that phone that said that quote was actually Erica. It was a 3-way phone call after my episode. I am told, again, these are two disputed narratives. Erica claims Andrew went rogue and also the surgeon went rogue and violated HIPAA. My source says that no, the surgeon did not violate HIPAA and he never said that, but he answered Andrew Colvett's questions because Erica was on the phone and that the Superman quotation came from her and they thought it was sweet because she was trying to grapple with things. And that's why I just abstained from telling the public that, because I thought maybe she needed to believe that because he died. And I was trying to be gracious. I don't know what to believe. What I see now is that I'm getting played because now I see that she's giving an alibi to Andrew. And Andrew's not going rogue, okay? Andrew is being told to do these things. Andrew is being told to attack me and to attack my narrative. Andrew is being told to lie on my name. Andrew is allowing these attacks to happen, sitting there across from Alex Clark, like, Catholic, no, he just liked the architecture. And I no longer accept that he is just going rogue, okay? That, to me, shows coordination. There's no other way to read it. So we have to sentence Andrew Colvett to more truth. That's going to be the new vibe. You lie, I tell the truth. So let's revisit the Hamptons, okay? Remember that whole debacle? Another thing that I said to the public was that Seth Dillon was pressing Charlie. I said there was a smaller meeting that took place. I said Bibi Netanyahu called and he offered to take Turning Point to the next level. And everybody had a lot to say and things were crazy. And, oh, Candace is crazy. Max Blumenthal's crazy. He also reported this. Everyone's lying. That's not true. Everything was amazing. Well, the Hamptons debacle came up when I sat down with Erica and she conceded that, yeah, she was there. I had no idea, by the way, that Erica was there. The first time I found out Erica was there was when I was sitting across from Erica. I don't know actually why I wasn't told that earlier. Anyways, the point being is that she was there and she conceded that, yes, the Israel thing came up and just as the people told me that his perspectives on Israel were being challenged. And then she said, yeah, I was there when Bibi Netanyahu called. Okay, how come no one has confirmed that? There's a piece of me that is angry about the fact that I have been telling the truth and I feel like I have been being gaslit about that. And no one has tossed me a little bit of rope, right? Hey, Candace, you're out there. She's telling the truth. Bibi Netanyahu called. Erica says that, Erica told me that, but he did not offer to take Turning Point to the next level. And I said, really? She said, yeah, I don't know who your source is on that, but that part's not true. He did call, but that part's not true. So what I told her, what I think shocked her, was that my source on that, which I had never previously revealed to the public, was Andrew Colvett. It was Andrew Colvett who told me that Bibi Netanyahu offered to take Turning Point to the next level and that Charlie Kirk said no. Did he go rogue again? I don't know. I said I find it very weird that Andrew would make that up. And then I was sort of told, like, well, maybe it happened a different time or whatever. Maybe when she wasn't there. It was pretty specific that it happened. And then I said, and I confirmed that with two other people. One person who I'm not going to give the clue about on the show because it would reveal a source that was not related to Andrew Colvett, who confirmed that very same thing. And there's no way Andrew would have known anything about that source. He was not communicating. He was not that source's source. Somebody else at that dinner was. And then I confirmed it for a third time with somebody that is very close to Andrew Colvett, that he said that he lost a lot of money when Charlie said no to Bibi Netanyahu. That's your punishment, Andrew. Truth. So now you can respond to reporters asking the questions. That's what you get. Don't lie in my name. Don't direct people to attack me. I'm done with all of it this year. Now, regarding the Fort Huachuca story, I now very much believe there is something here. So I reached out immediately after this moment where Andrew goes mask down. I reached out to Andrew Colvett directly and I reached out to the COO. And in good faith, I said, hey, I am happy to communicate the facts to my audience. You don't need to submit your alibi to some obscure YouTuber. You don't have to have Alex Jones go after me or attack me. We were just interested in the truth. We didn't know where this was going to end. And I had a phone call, not with Andrew Colvett, a good phone call. I do think thus far Justin Strife has maybe been the only person that has been well intended. And he's not on social media, so he kind of stays above the fray. And he was trying to understand what happened, and I explained to him that I was now pissed off, that I viewed this to be a violation of our ceasefire. Okay, and he said to me that he would get me a message from Erica that was her quote unquote alibi, if we're calling it that. I never demanded an alibi again. But that this was a conversation between her and Charlie about dinner, about them making dinner during that time frame when Mitch believes that he saw her on Fort Huachuca, at the Fort Huachuca base, at the hotel. So it would be impossible, obviously, if this is a conversation on the 8th between Charlie and Erica, for her to have also been on the base, a conversation about dinner. He did send me that message, but the contact name was blacked out. So I said, do you mind, just sending me, you can unblock the contact name, obviously, because I know Charlie's number. So, and he said, we thought you were going to release that to the public, and we don't want Charlie's nickname to be shown. And I said, well, don't worry about that. I'm not going to release the message. I think the public trusts me. I'm not going to release the message. If I say I saw it and confirmed it, they would trust it, but I need to see Charlie's name. Could you just send me the quick video of her opening that? And I've not received that since. Okay. So that was, a while ago. I followed up about 4 times. I still have not received that. So I cannot confirm that conversation took place between her and Charlie. I'm interested in confirming it. I'm interested in confirming it because I feel like something's there. I just sense, you know what? To use an expression that Daily Wire apparently loves, we don't know now, but I think we know. Something happened at Fort Huachuca. And tomorrow we're going to dive deeper. We're going to talk about Cabot Phillips. We're going to talk about Mark Amadei. Actually, I do believe that Mark Amadei, and again, remember, regarding Cabot Phillips and Mark Amadei, I was not contacted about them initially. He gave me descriptions of the people that he saw, and I started sending him faces. I do think that I do know who he saw. That was a congressman, and it was not Mark Amadei. So we're going to get into that. It's going to get very interesting because a lot of pieces are coming together for me. Anyways, that is a lot to say today, and I wanted to recap that because I am just feeling like a ceasefire was violated, and I think that's fair. I think that is fair.